Welcome, LA progressive friends, family, readers. Today I am sitting down with Sennett. And Sennett, you know what? I think I'm going to ask you to pronounce your last name.
Devermont.
Sennett Devermont. So, Sennett is a legal rights activist and founder of Mr. Checkpoint and the AFT Foundation. He was born and raised in Los Angeles by a family of lawyers and activists. Sennett learned about social justice issues and developed a critical lens on our justice system at a young age. He's been mobilizing for social change and spearheading AFTP's initiatives to deepen people's understanding of their legal rights. He's committed to combating the indifference, inaction, and apathy that perpetuate widespread injustice and inequity in our criminal justice system. And let me just say what AFT stands for. It is a 501c3 nonprofit, and it stands for Always for the People and apparently Always Film the Police. Sennett, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's
This,
really great to have you here. You have a really compelling story. Why don't you tell the LA progressive community how you got into this about filming the police and what motivated you? So how did it start?
okay, well, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I went to a small private school in Van Nuys, and um, my dad was a Social Security Disability SSI attorney, and he had the LA contract for 13 plus years. He represented over 50,000 people in LA, and I would hear him my whole life. He'd bring me to the courtroom. I'd be sleeping, but I'd be hearing him advocate for people, fight for people. If I got a curfew ticket or if I got a ticket with my friends, he would be representing us. He's a lawyer in every sense. Like, I got a laptop that was broke, that was kind of a lemon. He taught me about small claims court when I was 13. So these were the kind of things I was learning about. And being in this really diverse high school in Van Nuys in Los Angeles, there was a specific instance that occurred, and it was basically two friends. And the white friend took out his parents' car. He was 14 years old, and he had our black friend in the passenger seat. They got pulled over by LAPD, and the outcome is the white kid who took out the parents' car gets picked up by his parents, and the black kid our friend ends up in a jail cell. He has to do community service and all of these things. And I remember, saying, yo, what did your dad say? I could not believe he was in a jail cell as the passenger of the vehicle, and that the person who took it out was home and no big deal. So that blew my mind. And I remember saying, what did your dad say? Because I know if something happens to me like this, right, my dad's going to fight for me. I'm going to be out. He said, my dad said, I'm lucky that's all that happened. And that really stuck with me, that what a difference, right? You didn't do something, and now it's just kind of like you're lucky that's all that occurred. And I felt at that time really that just affected me. Fast forward, I was living in San Diego. I learned that checkpoints were targeting Hispanics in Chula Vista and Escondido, and that the news shared a segment that the police department had a contract with the tow truck companies. It was lucrative, and they would set these checkpoints in residential neighborhoods and tow 40 cars a night, zero DUI arrests. I started using Twitter and social media under Mr. Checkpoint to tell people where these DUI checkpoints were. I'm not for drunk driving. I'm for responsibility, but I'm against it. I'm against increased police interactions. And I started that in 2011. That made me have my own experiences with police. I remember I was holding up a sign at a checkpoint. A cop came and said, put your sign down or I'll take you to jail. Or he said, put your sign down. I said, why? He said, you can ask why in effing jail. I said, put your sign down. And that was the last time I pretty much ever had an interaction with an officer that I didn't film. So I began filming the police relentlessly. I wasn't even sure why. If I was pulled over, I'd film. If I saw someone else interacting with them, I filmed. And to fast forward 2013, I was in Santa Monica. I got pulled over in the night, and the officer says, follow my finger. And I say, no, we have a right in California to refuse field sobriety tests. And so I ended up spending that night in jail for a DUI. They drew my blood. Um, I recorded that stop. 3 months later, they got my blood results and said this person was sober and no DUI was filed. I took the recording. and I filed a lawsuit. I won a $70,000 lawsuit against Santa Monica Police Department. And the point is, I put that video on YouTube, and I got, to this day, I get a message every single day that says, "This happened to me." And I say, "Did you film it? Did you record it?" Then the answer was always a no. And so we said, instead of F the police, you know, we're going to film the police, and we're going to always film the police. And we do it always for the people. So that's the long story short. We reach people, millions of people, every single month on our social media platforms. And we encourage people to film police. We share these videos. And now, under the nonprofit AFTP Foundation, we advocate for these families that send us these sometimes horrific videos, and they can be as horrible as the most unimaginable experiences we see on the news and such today.
Wow, that's really that's I mean, it's unfortunate that you had to experience what you experienced at such a young age, the awakening to the inequities in our society. But I so appreciate that you, instead of collapsing under the inequitable treatment, that it propelled you into action. And I'm just so appreciative of that. So speaking of it propelling you into action, I want to talk about an image that I see on your Instagram. It's an image of you and Ben. Remind me of Ben's last.
Attorney Ben Crump.
Ben Crump, attorney Ben Crump, and a couple of other people who, and Ben appears to be holding a sign that says 1,088 Black people arrested, 2 convicted in Beverly Hills. And so give me a little bit more about that story.
Yeah, this has been a accumulation of a work for a long time. So in 2014, I got a tweet from a gentleman named Randy Watson Jr. And he said, the tweet read something like, "I live in Beverly Hills and I feel like I'm being racially profiled." We got on the phone, and sure enough, he tells me these stories and instances where he's walking home late at night eating a slice of pizza, and the officers get out of the car and say, "Where are you going?" He said, "I live here." Prove it. Watch him put the key in the door. I was blown away to hear this. I've happened to live around Beverly Hills for really this whole time. So it wasn't too difficult for me to see police and start learning and investigating this situation. What I soon found and learn and really investigating this is that the police seem to consistently stop mostly Black people. Now, brown people would be the second. Hispanics were the second group of people that were most stopped, but it was by far, without doubt, that when I saw someone Black pulled over by Beverly Hills, it was almost 100% they were out of the car, they were in handcuffs. But I'm seeing white people pulled over all the time. In fact, myself, I've been given a ticket by Beverly Hills PD for jaywalking, for being on my bicycle and running a stop sign, for doing things in my car, right? Traffic violations. I have never been put in handcuffs by Beverly Hills Police Department. I've never had my car searched by Beverly Hills Police Department. So when I'm seeing people being pulled over for tint, for a license plate infraction, for things that they might not have even actually been there, and they're out of the car and their whole car is being searched, I started asking questions, and I started recording these and filming these instances. People started sharing a lot of information. People who work all over Beverly Hills started saying, "Wow," sending in footage. And sure enough footage came in. One particular video of a couple who was traveling here on a vacation, and they're riding the scooters, down Rodeo Drive that were really popular at one time. Well, Beverly Hills has a ordinance that you're not supposed to ride those. Okay, cool. That would be a citation. Well, this couple and the boyfriend ends up in a jail cell and gets aggressively arrested. They end up reaching out to me saying, "That's me in the video," and they were interested in pursuing action. And so that was the beginning of the class action lawsuit that is a $500 million class action lawsuit that alleges racial profiling in Beverly Hills. They are the original victims. And since they have uncovered many more. Some people were passengers in the car that went over 3 inches on the limit line. He went to jail for 3 days. We're talking about people who did nothing in Beverly Hills and spent time in jail. Um, and so it's a real problem. I believe Beverly Hills has an example, has the opportunity to be an example for the whole entire country, right? There's few departments in our country that can talk to the world, right? Everyone knows Beverly Hills PD, 90210. There's movies, there's shows. Well, Beverly Hills is the most surveilled city in our country, and all of that is really for the police that I believe are using it to target the people. And the last thing I'll mention specifically is, as a citizen, I've made a public record request many times, but particularly in one specific instance for some footage, because it was alleged that the officer used excessive force for this unhoused African American individual in the park. So I was trying to get that footage, and I let the city council members know and everyone involved. 2 years later, I get a call from Internal Affairs of Beverly Hills. This was just a few months ago, and they said, "We're sorry, Sennett, our bad. You will not be getting that footage." I reviewed it. Yes, the officer did commit an excessive force. However, it was within our policy, right? So he's saying there was this excessive force, but however, there was no violation of policy. He was acting as he should, right? And unfortunately, after I reviewed it, the footage was deleted. So you'll not be getting that. He said, "You've done," and I said, "So I've done everything I've supposed to do to get it." Yes. This footage is really used for the police. When Salehi, he was the Versace shoe designer, and he was jaywalking, and he actually posted on his Instagram, kind of saying like, "I'm being racially profiled here." Beverly Hills, within 24 hours, put on their Facebook a video of Salehi jaywalking, right? When it's in their best interest to combat the public, they release the footage immediately. But when the public does everything they're supposed to do to get it because there could be something that was done wrong, it's my bad and deleted. And so these are major concerns for everybody who would travel through Beverly Hills, travel to shop in Beverly Hills. It's not just the residents of Beverly Hills that the police of Beverly Hills need to cater to and work for.
So this is fantastic. One thing I don't think that you mentioned is that there were 1,088 Black people arrested over a 2-year period. And I want to place an emphasis on that. That's 2 years, and only 2 people were convicted. I mean, I'm a Black person, and I've always known about Beverly Hills. And there's a lot that Black people know about, and we're so accustomed to living under these kinds of conditions that sometimes it takes a white person like you to stand up and shake people. So
Whatever it
thank you.
takes, it's
Yeah.
unacceptable. Absolutely. Absolutely. There was a rodeo task force very specifically that nearly seemed to stop every single Black person that possibly showed up on Rodeo Drive. And if I'm not mistaken, the arrests were, it was in the 600s. I believe there were 0 convictions found of all of those arrests, over 600 of the Rodeo Task Force. The arrest rate of African Americans in Beverly Hills is at a minimum 90%. I want to say it's closer to 99%. However, Beverly Hills African American, the percentage of them is 1.5%. So, you know, I believe the surveillance they have here is being used to target these people, and it's super concerning. I think for all of us, when over 50% of our tax dollars goes to this entity, we all need to be vested interest in what are they doing, and whether they target me personally or not, which unfortunately they do, given the advocate I am. It should be unacceptable to all of us.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the kinds of services that AFT provides? Like, give us an example of the kind of education about your rights um, and laws and transparency with law enforcement.
Yeah, so we're really trying to create safer interactions with police and the people, while providing tons of awareness. So, when you are interacting with police, we don't suggest, you have a First Amendment right to say whatever you want. You could obviously be disrespectful. No, we say be respectful, but exercise your rights. We try and teach the difference, right? You can remain silent. You must invoke your fifth. You can refuse searches. But if the officer says step out of the car, you also have to do it, right? So there's certain things that we really try to give our from what we've learned, right? Our understanding of the best way to make it home, and if something happens, to have evidence and proof to be able to hold them accountable or have some recourse at the end. So jury duty is a major thing we talk about. You know, when you vote, you're 1 in 30 million. I'm a bit, you know, I got a voting sticker here, but jury duty is the opportunity to be 1 in 12 and forever make the impact in someone's life in your own community. And this is the biggest deal. You know, we want to talk about stopping the war on drugs. Well, you could be a juror, listen to all the facts of the case, and consider jury nullification, right? These are things that you won't be able to learn when you're the 1 in 12. But if you start looking at it, talking about it, and we really encourage each other to become a juror. Unfortunately, in this country, jury duty, sometimes, how do we get out of it? We think if we protest and then we tell the judge that we're going to be excited to be, you know, exited. No, how do we be the 1 in 12 and sit in that seat? And so that's a right we have that we really try to talk about. AFTP provides that awareness. And then we also, you know, work with these families. We got the call from the family of Ryan Gaynor, you know, who's the 15-year-old boy who's having a mental health crisis, and his and they called 911, and then they called 911 again saying he's actually fine. You know, his father calmed him down. Cops come anyways and execute him. You know, and then the cops will say that he's the suspect, right? They'll make the victim a suspect. After they assassinate you, they assassinate your character. So we tell people Ryan Gaynor wanted to be an engineer, what his favorite food was, that, you know, we found teachers and his students to connect with the press, and we really try to humanize them so that the people realize, no, this is not acceptable, and we don't let the police's version that goes directly to the media be the only side told. So we really just try to advocate for those impacted by systemic injustice, police brutality victims being one of them, homeless veterans in Los Angeles being another. And we just really try to do the work every day. And as we've been on this call, it's like, we get calls from people who are wrongfully or unjustly incarcerated, you know, and connect them to people and attorneys. And so we really are looking to grow, and just excited to be able to reach this audience and in your community and share what we're doing.
Absolutely. So you have some really interesting statistics on your website. One that we haven't talked about at all. You say that 30 dogs are killed by police every day. We rarely hear about that.
I mean, how bad is chocolate for dogs? Right? We hear
Mm,
about how bad chocolate is for dogs. I was doing some research the other day about, actually, because we do talk about chocolate and dogs all the time, it's so
mm,
dangerous. Cops are a bigger threat to
mm.
dogs than the chocolate, you know? And these are the realities that we don't know. It's tough. Cops kill 3 people every day. Now, some people will say, well, what did the person do? You know, all this stuff. Okay. Dogs, no, you know, so in this country, unfortunately, I find the people appreciate and love dogs more than people, right? I've traveled the world. I see stray dogs everywhere, not many homeless people, right? Here, no stray dogs, lots of homeless people. So, you know, me mentioning dogs is just to try to relate to somebody, to say, maybe this
Yeah.
will get you to care, right? Maybe the 30 dogs a day, you know, let's now see what's going on. But we're attacking it from all angles.
So appreciate you, man. I mean, I really do. This is some stuff, some really difficult. These are difficult issues to cover, difficult issues to address. At the LA Progressive, we publish anywhere between 10 and 15 articles every day, and they're always on things that just are downers. It's always a downer. Our goal in doing this and sharing this information, and even the information at aftp.org, is to wake people up and to let people know that there are organizations that they can join, that they can donate to. And we strongly encourage the LA Progressive readers and the LA Progressive community to please go to www.aftp.org and donate. This is an organization that is having an impact. So, Sennett, thank you for joining us. Are there any last things that you'd like to say before we close?
No, that's it. I just appreciate your time. I appreciate this community. I'm a fan of the LA Progressive. And so it's really a special opportunity to have this convo. And I look forward to more and sharing. So thank you so much.
Thank you again, Sennett, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon. Take care.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sticking around. If you like the LA Progressive content and the discussions we have here, please consider clicking the subscribe button below and also give us a thumbs up. That helps to grow our audience by feeding the algorithm, which helps to get this content in front of more eyes. Thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate your support.